Well, this is interesting. Detroit's big three CEOs, Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis, are going to face Congress over the cost of cars. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. This sounds like a pretty wild story here. YouTube's new algorithm means that you're often not getting all of our videos in your feed. There's 7,500. I'm pretty sure you're probably not seeing a lot of them. In the description, there is a link to our newsletter. Click on that and you can get an update every day of all the latest news in the electric car industry. Lawmakers are going to force the CEOs of these companies to answer questions which, well, here are some of the questions. For starters, for the first time in nearly 20 years, the CEOs of Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis will have to go and share a table before Congress. The Senate Commerce Committee has called on Ford's Jim Farley, GM's Mary Barra, and Stellantis' Antonio Filosa to testify on the 14th of January in a high-profile hearing exploring the auto industry's outlook on federal transportation policy and vehicle affordability. In other words, it's going to say to them, why are you not selling cars cheaper? The session will talk about the uneasy transition towards EVs, and this is a subject which is apparently controversial right now in US politics. Tesla's VP of Vehicle Engineering, Lars Moravy, has been invited to join the discussion, but Elon Musk won't be going. Tesla's VP of Vehicle Engineering is going to be there instead. The last time all three Detroit bosses appeared together on Capitol Hill was in 2008 during the financial crisis, bailout negotiations, and a moment when the industry's future, well, looked like American automotive industry could have was on the verge of collapse. So why are they doing it now? Senator Ted Cruz, who's basically making this hearing happen, has called this pedal to the policy, the views of the American auto industry on the upcoming surface transportation reauthorization. What a bunch of, I don't know, nonsense. I mean, upcoming surface transportation reauthorization. What? Anyway, based on reporting from the Union Bulletin, the sessions will probe fuel economy and emissions mandates, tariffs, federal EV policy, new vehicle pricing, and how automakers plan to navigate the next decade. Cruz is saying the meeting will be a long overdue reality check on affordability. Basically, the government's going to try and make car brands in the US sell cars cheaper, even though they're forcing them to sell them at higher prices because they're saying nothing in your cars can be coming from China. So they've obviously put a huge costs on Ford and General Motors and Stellantis and everyone in the industry making cars in the US with all these tariffs. And they've been having to pay billions of dollars in tariffs. And then they're saying at the same time, you need to make your cars cheaper. Why are they not cheaper? The average price of a car has more than doubled in the past decade, said Cruz, blaming onerous government-mandated technologies and radical environmental regulations. So the only reason that car prices have increased in the United States is because of onerous government-mandated technologies, as in CO2 emissions devices to decrease CO2 coming from a car, and radical environmental regulations. They're basically blaming previous governments saying, well, emissions aren't good, people are breathing this stuff in, it's bad, let's reduce emissions, let's reduce CO2, let's reduce toxic fumes coming from exhausts. And the government's saying that that is the wrong thing to do. Well, I think this is madness. I think this government's totally lost its mind. Honestly, I think it's absolute insanity. The average transaction price of a new car is around $50,000 US right now. A decade ago, that was in the low 30s. But if you include inflation, then the price hasn't actually changed at all. Analysts think the shift, though, is due to several factors, such as regulation, inflation, tariffs, people buying more expensive, bigger cars, and EVs. That's what they say. But, I mean, think about it. The amount of large, expensive pickup trucks being sold right now is greater than ever before. Republicans say policy changes earlier this year, including repealing federal EV mandates and emissions targets under the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, are steps toward lowering prices. However, Cruz says lawmakers need to go further. This is all happening at a critical point in the US automotive industry as well. To be honest, the perception from outside of the United States is that the US automotive industry is being dragged by the Trump administration into the dark ages. That's the perception. kind of like Russia with Putin. The debate comes at a pivotal moment for the US auto sector, and the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement faces a renewal or renegotiation by July 1. If it lapses, the fallout will drive vehicle costs higher, regardless of new legislation. And remember, Mexico, the sales of Chinese cars in Mexico have skyrocketed. So the US surely will try to stop Mexico from allowing Chinese-made cars to enter their market, which would be massive. It'd be very difficult for Mexico to do that because there's so many dealerships now that are selling Chinese cars in Mexico. They're a huge part of the car market there. Even General Motors is selling a lot of cars that they make in China in Mexico. So that's going to be a big challenge. And that is a backdoor for Chinese EV brands, Chinese companies to get cars into the US. Eventually, a lot of Americans will just cross the border, buy an affordable EV in Mexico, drive it back. And that's what a lot of people will do. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the government, US government, what it's doing right now in the United States? And obviously inviting Tesla, General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis, not inviting them, but kind of, it sounds like requiring them to attend this meeting. How are Americans feeling about this at the moment? Tesla has been making a lot of money from one source, which is basically credits. Yeah, carbon credits. Essentially, automakers have paid Tesla on average over the last few years around $2 billion per year. But some of that is about to dry up because of the Trump administration's changes to the rules in the United States. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. YouTube's new algorithm means that you're often not getting all of our videos in your feed. There's 7,500. I'm pretty sure you're probably not seeing a lot of them. In the description, there is a link to our newsletter. Click on that and you can get an update every day of all the latest news in the electric car industry. Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis have paid billions of dollars to Tesla and Rivian until recently Trump changed the rules. The emissions rollbacks will reshape the EV market, boosting gas cars while threatening EV automaker profits. This is particularly for the United States. These changes are not happening like this in Europe, right? In Europe, Tesla will continue to make money from other car makers. Stellantis and other manufacturers in Europe will continue to have to pay Tesla for their carbon credits, but not in the United States. In the US, Tesla could potentially lose around $1 billion annually in credit revenue. Now, the EPA's mission was to protect health and the environment, and now the EPA is not doing that at all. The EPA is really not all that interested in health or the environment anymore. It's more interested in, well, helping the Detroit Big Three to stay in business.